Hello and welcome everybody back once again to World of Racing, and tonight it's gonna be Members Night. Wednesdays, we're here for a bit of some spills and thrills and some overall great times. I'm Mike Noss. Joined alongside me tonight is none other than Mr. Sagar Bakshi. Sagar, how are you doing on this fine evening?
I'm doing fantastic, Mike Noss. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us at World of Racing headquarters, where we are racing at our next set of tracks and starting the MX-5 Cup Challenge is what it sounds like. And I'm really excited because we've got a full grid of drivers racing on circuit as we speak.
And MX-5s, let's just talk a moment about them for a second, because they are some truly incredible cars. They have very similar, I guess, to your road car that you'd be used to. So the newer drivers that are going to be entering the simulator for the first time tonight, of course, at World of Racing, some of the highest class motion simulators that are available on the market, from Hussenfeld to Simicube technology there. It's a great time. Head on down if you are in the Pasadena or Tustin area. Those are the two, well, I guess, rivalries that we have developed, of course, with the two locations in there. There's no rivalry. We've just pitted them against each other because it's entertaining. Heck, why not? But they're going to be driving 155 horsepower of, a rear-wheel drive, kind of punchy, I don't want to say a goat car. It's one of the best cars of all time. If you've ever had the pleasure of taking it for a spin, hearing that little four-banger engine roar, or whine as it is often, you'll be hearing that very shortly. But Sagar, of course, you've had some experience driving around in these cars as well. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh man, I haven't had any experience driving the Mazda MX-5, but I know they often go to many tracks, Okayama International Circuit. They come down to Laguna Seca. It is a staple for intermediate beginner drivers for them to be able to do so. I wish I drove an Mazda MX-5, but you yourself can go ahead and buy an MX-5 ND actually from your local dealership. I believe the price tag runs anywhere from $90,000 to $135,000. So it's a pretty steep price tag, but it's great for entry level racing. And it comes with all the body work and everything that you need to get ready to race in the MX-5 Cup actually. So not too bad of an entry level price.
You know what's a little bit better of an entry-level price, though, Sagar? Heading down to World of Racing and driving an MX-5 on a motion rig gives you most of the experience, maybe not quite the G-force, but it's a heck of a lot more affordable. That is no doubt. Now, a big warm welcome to everyone joining us. I hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world, whether you're watching the VOD after or you're watching live on Twitch from one of the locations or from anywhere on this lovely planet. We thank you for joining us here tonight, and we're going to get ready to get on into it. Okayama, a track that you mentioned that goes pretty much gels extremely well with MX-5s. I actually had the pleasure of commentating MX-5s on Okayama not too long ago. It was on iRacing for that platform in the Screen to Speed Winter Championship. But with that, of course, it's a real slipstream fest all in all, and we'll be seeing that as we get on into it. The gravel is never far away, so overtaking is going to be difficult if you do run deep. But with that being said, Sagar, why don't we get ready to head on down to the action? Here we see.
Now that you said it, Mike Noss, I am curious, how many trips to World of Racing can you get out of $90,000?
I guess, that's a great point, because it varies, right? Now that you mention it, is you can get anywhere from quite a few to a couple, because of course, you're going to get quite a few with that much regardless, of course, but there is various forms of purchase available at World of Racing, and with that, of course, you can have anything from hot lapping sessions down to actual race night sessions that we're in tonight, members night, or tomorrow, of course, as well. But with that, they also have coaching that they can have, so you can get coached by some of the most experienced, some very experienced sim racers out there to get very underway on that equipment. Holy smokes, Max there maybe needs a little coaching himself right now, though. I guess you couldn't quite say that. Third fastest, and look at how tight the top is.
Absolutely gutting how close it is. Andrew able to do a little bit faster, a 148.192. dips away at that 148.2 from Bradley behind, almost identical lap times, just a blink of an eye, not even a blink of an eye separating the two of them. And then you have Max with a 148.9, just a hair away from Bradley right now. And then look at the mid pack as well, 149.2. Let's say it's from P4 all the way down to P7 right now is 1 second apart. And then you have P6 all the way down to P10, 1 second apart as well.
And also, just a little mention here, the man on your screen, Andrew Janis, he is the Suns owner as well, and an 11-year-old Carter. So seeing him up at the top here, we got a little bit of youth versus experience. Oh goodness, a little bit of clattering here as there's a war happening on circuit currently in qualifying. You never want to see that. Bradley getting together with another one of the MX-5s on circuit. Not sure who that was, but they found the kitty litter.
A couple of MX-5s beaten up and bruised right now, and look like they were cut at Revolver Corner right after Hobbs and the hairpin. And it looks like all the drivers are back up and running. But what a full grid we have, and my fan favorite, commentators, we're not supposed to have favorites, but my favorite driver is back up on the grid, and you know who that is, Mike Noss. It's my man, Robert. I saw his name pop up for just a second, but where did he dip away to?
That's what I'm looking for, actually, is I'm scanning frequently, and there we go. We just have to go a little bit further down. He's currently sitting 22nd position, right ahead of Brittany at a 155.0. So looking to cut off a couple seconds here. In fact, why don't we go on board here and see what it's like behind the wheel of one of these MX-5s. Here we go. We got the mirror is going to be blocking us. All right, we'll go with the actual onboard cam then, if we can. Good enough. Into the middle sectors we go through Hobbs Corner and into Mike Knight Corner through the last corner, aptly named, of course. There are 13 corners on this circuit, 7 to the right and 6 to the left. So tire wear going to be very even through and through. All the way, lots of hairpins you can see. Dashing now down to the first corner. Sauger, take us through a lap.
Going into the first corner, Robert's pushing the pedal to the metal right now, bottoming it out as far as he possibly can, breaking it around the 100-meter board, and then dipping the car down into second gear. It seems like he may have missed a gear, gone down one too many. Then you want to get all the way to the right before you enter Williams, and a little bit off of the throttle, otherwise might run wide. No, Robert maintains the track position right now. He's doing pretty well as we come through the Moss S's. This is going to be all flat out until we get to Outwood Curve. Lining yourself up on the far left-hand side. This is an awkward corner because it's a little off-cambered right now, but he's going to take it all the way to the inside, curbing, and then drift out wide at the end of Outwood. Now it's time to check your mirrors. It's time to straighten out your tie. It's time to get a drink of water. You've got a long straightaway before we get down to the hairpin. This is where we're going to see a lot of cars drafting each other. Possibly a little bit of NASCAR bump drafting even. Coming down to around the 50-meter board. Now is going to be hard on the brakes. Try to make the apex as tight as he possibly can. Robert misses it by just a little bit, and he goes all the way down into first gear for it. Now you're going to send it through Revolver Corner. Just absolutely sending it through the next corner. This is Piper. This is where the track actually turns into Okayama Piper, the short version of the circuit, but we're running the full length of it today. Now on our way down to Redman's Corner. Now it's going to be on the brakes again, right around the Marshall board. And he's going to miss the apex by, again, just a smidgems, but down into second gear and then down into first gear for this following corner. He was a little too far right coming out of Redman's into Mike Knight Corner now. Not Mike Noss's corner, but Mike Knight's corner. And into the final corner, again, mostly just sending a little lift off of the throttle and pumping the brakes to get the car rotated, and maybe a little bit of a drift from Robert as he puts the pedal down. And that'll be a lap around Okayama.
Heading to the line here, it's looking like a solid one as well. 2-second improvement in the middle sector, 1 in the first, and that's going to be good enough for 18th position, a 153.8. Still, more time to be gained, but not when you're slipping and sliding and basically leaving all the rubber that you have on the circuit on the first corner. Try to distribute that throughout the lap, Robert. Anyways, he'll be moving forward with his charge. Still, Andrew Janis on pole position with Bradley alongside Max coming up in third with Donovan in 4th. The times in the front still within biting distance of each other, and there is Ahmad just sneaking in there as well. Look at how tight we are up front, as well as down towards the mid-pack. We're gonna have quite a few fights on our hands here tonight, and this is one of the natures of MX-5 racing that I love. These cars, they have long braking zones, meaning that you can go for dive bombs, you can go for long slipstream attempts and make moves happen. We're gonna be seeing some movers and some shakers. Let's just see if everyone can keep it on tarmac, Sagar.
Absolutely. The slipstream effect is so strong in these MX-5 Cup cars. You're going to see a lot of it coming out of the final corner and down that long straightaway on the back part of the circuit. But it's going to be leading into some less than ideal situations potentially, where drivers will be running into the back of each other trying to find their way through. I expect to see a couple of drivers get boxed in, even side by side slipstream not working out the way it possibly should have, the way these MX-5s typically run. But the bump drafting will effectively make your car in front go a little bit faster and help out the cause. I believe damage is turned off, so the drivers won't have to worry too much about that, thankfully. But their tire and their tire wear will also be a huge factor here at the Okayama circuit, Mike.
Yeah, damage being off, I'm not too sure about. I think they do have a minimal form of damage on here, but maybe not, I think, to the maximum extent that we otherwise would see. Daniel here was using the car in front there as a brief little slipstream, but then kind of used himself as a battering ram, but I guess more of used the force, the power of the force there to get the other driver to overreact, unfortunately, but it's the nature of qualifying. Daniel here, he's a man on a mission, and he can't blame him for that. Tim, currently behind him, 149.8. That's going to be where he's at. And through the first sector, let's stick with him, see if we see any improvements. The 62 here, smack dab in the, well, I was going to say the middle, but you were right, Sagar. We got a full grid here tonight.
Absolutely phenomenal to see, despite everything that's going on in the LA County right now. For people to be able to get out and have some fun is an absolutely tremendous thing to see. And it's great that World of Racing is still housing people and having them show up to these amazing events, regardless of if we had to wait a week. And there goes Max, into second place in front of Bradley at 148.2. And then a 148.273 for Bradley. Ahmad, like you said, slipped into 4th place. Cosmo into 5th place. Donovan in 6th place. And Timothy, Daniel, Tim into 9th place right now.
3 thousandths up in the first sector. Not quite what he wants, but an improvement is an improvement. Thousandths, they add up into 10 thousandths. 10 thousandths add up into tenths. Tenths into seconds, and so on. Let's see, down through Sector 2 now as he gets down into the hairpin corner. Yes, in fact, a hairpin is named Hairpin Corner. Look, let's give a little bit of credit here to Okayama. At least they named all the corners. You gotta love it when circuits have corner names, when they name their straights. It just adds the character, the class that a true racing circuit has, and Okayama is a true racing circuit.
Absolutely. It's a true staple of anybody that's into racing. Ferrari Challenge also coming here. MX-5's coming here. So just cup races held at the Okayama circuit. It's great to see that the circuit is still in use to this day, obviously, as so many circuits have gone by the wayside and get mistreated or get turned to housing complexes, such as Oran Park has. But unfortunately, or fortunately for us, the Okayama circuit's still in good force. And here's Andrew getting some slipstream from a car behind. The 29 getting slipstreamed by another car and getting towed around, it looks like. Andrew giving a helping hand of that slipstream to a competitor. And I wonder if the other 29 of Risa will back off, or if Andrew will back off first.
Yeah, looking at it, Risa 3/10 off their best lap. Andrew maybe being a bit of a cork in a bottle rather than a helping hand. And Andrew, I'm not sure he's on a flyer. The timing delta doesn't seem to be updating, but either way, he's going to be holding pole position without a doubt. I don't think anyone is going to thwart the young Janice behind the wheel of the MX-5. Goes to show you, it doesn't matter what you give that kid. He ended up doing a great job in, I think it was the Hypercars not too long. No, was it Hyper? It was the Formula 1 of the formulas. Formula 4s, I suppose. They're all named differently, so I don't really know necessarily which was which, but he ended up smashing it and taking victory on a previous circuit, and he's looking to maybe make it another one here tonight.
And qualifying session just about to conclude right now. Waiting for the final set of drivers to cross the line. Only a handful of them remaining. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen on the leaderboard, most drivers have taken the checkered flag already, and it will end up being concluded now.
And with that qualifying done and dusted, you mentioned, Sagar, some of the facts on this track and the fact that this is a circuit that, well, I guess I didn't quite mention yet, but believe it or not, they used to race Formula One here. It used to be called the Pacific Grand Prix. Now, they only had it for a couple of years back in 1994 and 1995. Michael Schumacher did win both of those races. Go back and check it out, folks, because watching Formula One cars trying to share room on this circuit that was FIA grade 1 for a couple of years, they swiftly realized that that wasn't the best idea, and that circuit got down a little bit of a lower grade, which I actually didn't research, so I should probably look that up.
Well, yeah, and not only including four-wheel circuit, but this is also home to two wheels for the MFJ Superbike Championship, Super GT, and Super Formulas as well. And Okayama Circuit just, one day was probably going to be turned into a golf course, and now is a beautiful racing circuit, but started in 1990s and has opened up to business starting around then. And yeah, it's just an amazing track. The Pacific Grand Prix must have been a sight for sore eyes, especially around this track that is not by any standards an FIA grade 1 circuit to this day, right, Mike Noss?
It's grade 2. I have Googled it. I have looked it up, and the internet has helped me. It is an FIA grade 2 circuit now, so it will take a little revamping to get it to the grade 1 status once more, to get it Formula One compatible, which a lot of people often say, for the getting a track up to grade 1, which takes a tremendous amount of effort, money, logistics, just everything, time as well. And Kyalami trying to figure that out as well. Of course, Kyalami was once an FIA grade 1 circuit, had multiple Formula One Grand Prix, one of my favorite circuits. And since then, it is now grade 2, but there are talks, of course, of revamping it back into the Formula One calendar, maybe in the upcoming years. Of course, we'll find out. I would love to see Kyalami, of course, barring political whatever nonsense and stuff. Formula One, of course, it's still a great circuit, and Kyalami hosting to GT racing, it's just it's a true racer circuit. I'm gone on a tangent about Kyalami because I just love the track so much.
Well, Kyalami means our home in Zulu, so of course it is our home for racing. But yes, the FIA grade 1 circuit requirements are quite steep. The amount of runoff necessary, the amount of area and space that you need and catch fencing that you need have to be at a specific grade. Look at circuits like Bahrain in comparison to Okayama Piper. Think about turning Okayama into a Bahrain type circuit, or a even a Silverstone type circuit. It would take so much work, so much money, and it would take away so much of the track and the fan experience that I think that certain tracks are just saying, no, that's fine with us. We'll stick with Super Formula. We'll stick with being an FIM grade circuit. We're fine with that for now. And they'll keep on getting their revenue, and they'll keep on getting their races going, and they'll keep on having their fans show up year after year and claim them as their home. I mean, look at a track like Laguna Seca. That's been demoted from an FIA grade 1 circuit for a long time, and it's because of the runoff. But Laguna Seca, they're never going to change. They're never going to change their ways. They're not going to add more runoff. They've already got as many gravel pits as they could possibly imagine. The whole circuit, if you're not on the tarmac, is actually pretty much gravel and or dirt. Even with the upgrades that they made to the circuit just this year, you're not going to find any better racing than Laguna.
No, you're really, and especially imagine a Formula One car going through the corkscrew. I mean, I know the modern day cars, they're not the most fragile, of course, everything made with the carbon-tanium alloys and all this sophisticated and millions and billions and trillions of dollars worth of, okay, maybe not trillions, but quite a bit of money goes into the R&D of these cars, and they can develop quite the strength. However, I guess a manhole cover can still take one out, though. But of course, with that... Too soon?
One time, Mike Noss. One time.
Not one time, multiple times. It's not the first time that's happened.
I do want to point out, though, it would be great to see a Formula One car go through the corkscrew at Laguna Seca. I will say IndyCar does go to Laguna Seca and they somehow make it through and survive. I'm not saying that IndyCar is the equivalent to Formula One, but if you can see a Formula open wheel type vehicle make it through in one category, I wouldn't be surprised if we could see a Formula One car eventually make it through Laguna Seca, perhaps for a show day or perhaps for a promotion event. But yes, for racing, most likely not going to happen.
Now, I'm currently frantically Googling what is the width of an Indy car and what is the width of an F1 car.
Well, we'll find out soon enough. The Okayama Piper, are we headed back there? Well, time will only tell. Founded in 1990, current layout since 2020, but really it's been unchanged since 1990. Elevation change of 95 feet, located in Okayama Prefecture, Japan. And Mike Noss, hit us with the bird facts. I know you've got one ready for us.
I do have the bird facts ready, but I also have the Formula One facts that I have now fact-checked. They're basically the same-ish size. An Indy car is a couple inches smaller, but for the most part, I mean, hey, inches, they turn into feet, obviously. 6'7" for a Formula One car. Yes, we're using imperial units here. Sorry, everybody else. I'll let you do it's some number of other units. So, 6'7" and 6 for the Formula One car in width, and 6.25 for the Indy car. So 6.2, so about 6 feet. Solid 5 inches difference. Nothing to shake a stick at, I suppose.
Well, when you stick two of them side by side, it's almost a foot, right?
That's true. It's almost a year. Anyways. And nobody understands that. Now, with, let's see, we're just currently waiting for the server to get back underway. The drivers had a brief little break there after qualifying, and we will be getting back into it here very, very shortly, folks. But in the meantime, your regularly scheduled program of bird facts, of course. And with that, Sagar, there happens to be over 200 bird species in the Okayama Prefecture, some of which including the brown-eared bull, bulbul, the gray wagtail, and the eastern spot-billed duck.
Do ducks count as birds? I mean, I guess so. Is that a silly question to ask?
Isn't it? Isn't a duck a bird? A duck's a bird? What are you on about? Wait, it flies?
I mean, if just because a fly flies doesn't mean we call it a bird, Mike Noss.
So what is so a duck is a fly now? Is that what you're saying?
No. Well, what I'm trying to argue is that it's a aquatic based. Well, I guess seagulls are birds, right? Okay.
Yes.
I see where the
gull
wrongdoing
family
in my ways is. See, this is why I'm a race commentator and I'm not a bird commentator. I don't talk about ducks. I don't go hunting. I'm not a bird guy. I'm not a duck guy. I'm not a deer guy. I'm just a car guy. I'm Sagar Bakshi and I like cars. Okay.
I mean, I think geese are birds and they barely fly. I mean, they fly. I guess Canadian geese migrate. In fact, fun fact about certain geese, I just commentated on Barcelona the other day, so this one is hot in the mind. Of course, the Barcelona Cathedral happens to be, it has 13 geese that live in it because that represents the age in which the patron saint, whom I forgot their name, was martyred.
Oh, wow. Very interesting. At 13 years old.
Again, it's just what I'm told. Yes. Wow. So that is why there are 13 geese.
Now I got a question for you. Is a chicken a bird?
Sagar, I don't think I'm necessarily the one that's qualified enough, and I think the short answer is yes. But let's move on from bird related. Is an airplane? It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a race car. That's what we're often talking about here tonight. And Okayama, as well, of course, Japan. One of the lovely places, of course, various circuits in Japan. Fuji, Suzuka, and now, of course, well, not now, of course, but the famous Okayama from 1990, as Sagar mentioned earlier, and pretty much unchanged since. And it is a true circuit, but the MX-5s as well. I mentioned the fact earlier that they have not much horsepower, 155 horsepower, and with a pretty much 0 to 60 in about 3 to 5 business days, more or less, to get these cars up to a speed. And with that, it allows for more pack racing. We already had touched on that. It allows for longer dive bombs, more overtakes we're going to be seeing, as well as, of course, these cars just being a little bit, again, more similar to a road car and easy to drive. Now, of course, the qualifying that we just had was, I think, the pre-qualifying. So as we get into it here, we're going to be getting into the actual race qualifying. That's why we had too many drivers tonight, to the point where we had to, I guess, have a little bit of a split quali now.
And I was actually wrong about the price of the MX-5 Cup car, Mike Noss. I think
that's why I never do that.
I think I said 90 to 135. I was actually pretty close with my early estimate. It's about $80,000. The things that can affect the price are upgrades and variabilities. Test days and training can run $25,000 to $50,000. Running costs, the owner, can obviously tally up their own running costs based on how many events you want to run. But you can order your car directly from Mazda Motorsports, and anybody can do so apparently. So. Place your call at Phil's Motorsports.
Well, place your call at various platforms are available.
No, this is actually the place to call.
Well, they can get your if they want to pay us. We'll give them an ad read. Mazda, if you're looking to give an ad read, we'll give you an ad read. We're not gonna be giving you a free ad read here. Come on.
This is why you're the professional, Mike. This is why you're the professional. You keep me in line. Thank you so much.
No, of course. With that here, I think we are going to be taking a brief little intermission whilst we wait for the server to get up and running. But in the meantime, you'll be hearing some lovely beats from Chris Larande. If you want to head on over to SoundCloud, it's soundcloud.com/Larande Alpha. So we'll be back very shortly, folks. And welcome back, everybody. We are going to be heading down to banana-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Thunder.
Banana-na-na-na-na-na.
Thunder.
Thunderhill, everybody. That's the circuit that we're going to be going down to. I hope everybody hope you all enjoyed that. That was fun. Now, of course, Thunderhill, a bit of a circuit that you probably haven't heard of, to be completely honest. I know I myself had not really heard of it, to be honest, either. However, in case you were curious, the longest motorsport event in the world is hosted on this circuit. The 25 hours of Thunderhill. Again, a racing series that I had no idea about, but I have learned something myself today, and I have now shared that information with you, the viewer. So go check out 25 hours of Thunderhill after this stream, of course.
Plus, it hosts the NASA sports car events, plus a round of the Lemon Series, where a $500 race car can go around, basically. And also, they have a part of the circuit called the Thunderschleife, which is a 5-mile road course with a nod to the Nordschleife in Germany. Very interesting name for that course, but yes, a nod to its German counterpart, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. How? You tell me. Fill in the blank, to be honest. Oh, but with that here, why don't we get down to the storm of action that we have ahead of us at Thunderhill. And there we are. We can see the MX-5s out on circuit after the brief black screen of anticipation there, and we're already getting side-by-side action, but no, Zogger, we're not in the race session. This is quali.
This is quali, and we've got over 20 drivers in this qualifying session, so it looks like most people have ticked over to join us. A few drivers of Andrew, Robert, Vince, Brittany, Lee, Cosmo, and Paulina not quite setting laps yet, but it looks like most drivers, if not all of them, are on circuit right now, at least trying to get to grips with the Thunderhill Raceway Park for now.
And now, of course, anyone wondering, so what was that Okayama session, you might be asking? Whoa, Christian there, like maximizing the slip angle there briefly. And that's a great question, because what that was a bit of a pre-qualifying. So here at Assetto Corsa, the original Assetto Corsa, we can only have, how many is it in the server? 26, Sauger?
24 drivers in most active servers.
Okay, so 24. So with that, of course, we have over 24 drivers participating down at World of Racing. So we have 2 qualifyings. Now, we only watched one of the groups of qualifyings, but basically what they've done is they've taken the top half from one qualifying, the top half from another qualifying, and they've mashed them all together. So we have 2 splits of racing tonight. We are going to be watching the top split. That's going to be the likes here, of course, currently piloted by, well, Andrew Janis, our pole sitter. Immediately, he smashes the barn doors wide open with a 2:01.8, an entire second quicker than the next fastest lap.
Andrew sure has gotten to grips with these MX-5s and the Thunderhill Raceway circuit very cleanly as he comes around through the snake and in towards Cosmo. It looks like he's getting ready to get it done and dusted. And the number 21st place car, that'll be the driver below Robert, gets to the line next. And who will that be getting to the line next? That'll be David, it looks like. It'll be going to be the next driver to get to the line. And he looks like he's improving with a purple sector time through sector 2, but losing a little bit of time through sector 3. And that'll be 2:02.805. So it looks like Andrew is going to have a few contenders out for blood tonight.
He certainly will. The young gun, the 11-year-old karting driver. Now, driving a go-kart will give you such an advantage in these MX-5s because they don't have much power, very similar to a go-kart. You're only rocking about 9 horsepower. Now, of course, you have a lot less weight in a go-kart, but these are quite the flighty cars as well. When it comes down to it, they pretty much weigh the same as a stone, about, well, a pretty heavy stone, to be completely honest, about 2,000 pounds. They're coming in right around a ton, or about 892 kilograms, whatever the heck those are. Okay, enough making fun of our European counterparts. It's an American stream. I don't get to do that too often, so I'm just, taking advantage of it. But a big warm welcome as well to everyone joining us here tonight. We actually had a follow with Hoshuri Racing joining us, as well as OMG It's Stagger. Somebody is trying to impersonate you, Sagar.
Oh my goodness, I have a fan?
Maybe.
Finally.
I think it's just a coincidence, to be honest. Same spelling, though. Well, minus the T.
Really? Minus the T. So it's just Stagger, not Sagar? Oh,
yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
An imposter.
An imposter, yes. Impostable.
Max, though, improving through Sector 2. Looks like he's gone purple through that sector, but might have invalidated that lap. A little bit of abuse of track limits through what looks like the mid part of the corner, but where does he end up falling? Still into fourth place, a 202.842 as he approaches the first corner. And there is an MX-5 spun around facing the wrong way that may have impeded his lap time, and there goes Brittany backing it up onto the grass and hopefully getting that thing restarted. And
nice safe rejoin there for Brittany, has Polina currently ahead of her, and side-by-side action already. You love to see the exuberance and a bit of a hip check in quali. Not quite going to be helping the lap times, that's for certain, but these MX-5s, they can take a bit of a battering, a bit of bruising, and a couple punches to the face here and there. These cars, they like violence, don't they, Sagar?
Absolutely, and it's one of the great things about the MX-5 Cup cars is that you can go wheel to wheel, you can hip check each other and not get sent into the shadow realm. The AC physics doing very well to make these things as realistic as possible. And we've got a little bit of a race going on right now with Christian, and there goes a shadow realm to just prove me wrong. A little bit of a hip check there, side-by-side door banging gone wrong between Christian and Donovan, it looks like, and Donovan warping back to the pits. But we still got 7 minutes left in this qualifying session. Plenty of time for the drivers to come to grips with the tricky Thunderhill Raceway circuit.
Look at the blinding sun there coming down onto the track here. And we're going to go on board right now with David. He has found himself, in my opinion, the best spot on track. He has some clean air ahead of him. You can see no one to impede his lap like we've seen in the previous attempts. Here we go, though, down towards the turns 10 and 11, hooking back around now into 13 and 14. Normally, there'd be a little bit of a chicane here. There is a little bit of a chicane there. You can see it's a flat out easy through there. Fastest sector 2. Now, 8/10 up on his previous lap. Currently, he needs an entire second of improvement, so he needs to nail turns 14 and 15, the final 2 corners of this circuit. Getting onto the loud pedal, or the mildly loud pedal in these MX-5s, and flat out a long ways. It's going to be counting your lap time the whole time, and heading across it will be a 2:02.9. Not fast enough.
Not fast enough that time around, but doesn't mean that he can't find the pace to improve with 5.5 minutes left to go. Daniel, though, finding some improvement with a 2:01.9 for themselves. Bradley with a 2:02.137. David, 2:02.35. Max with also into the 2:02s. It looks like the top basically 6 are just 1.5 seconds apart from each other right now. Barring Andrew. Andrew's just an alien.
Tim, though, here going to come into the conversation potentially, and he does, but only just misses out a fastest sector 1, a fastest sector 2, and it still wasn't enough to gain the position. 3/10 separating Andrew Janis and Tim.
Amazing lap time out of Tim. He was not on my bingo card for this event to be into the top 5, but he is now. Tim putting on a showstopper for us here tonight at Thunderhill Raceway. Amazing driving out of him, and amazing driving from most of the participants here at World of Racing, and he's just sending it around these corners. I think he's still trying to find some lap time.
Yeah, not quite finding much though through Sector 1, 666. I mean, some say they know what that number means, and certainly looking like it on this lap. Andrew, though, with another improvement. He has improved by over a second again. Tim, he was chopping down the tree of Andrew Janis, but unfortunately, Andrew, he stands tall like a 1,000-year-old oak through the circuit, not gonna be disrupted whatsoever. Max here does set another quite stormer of a lap, and just about, what is that, 10-ish thousandths away. Heck, commentator notepad, or what is it? What do they call the napkin math? Not quite going to be up to par tonight, but Daniel also improves there. You can see just gaining a couple thousandths, but not enough to improve either. We have a knife fight in a phone booth for the top 5.
It is absolutely insane how close this championship is going to be. The top 5 are just nip and tuck on each other. The one thing I'm curious about the most, though, Andrew may have the pace lap after lap, but does he have the consistency to keep that going? You saw him kind of drifting the car through Sector 1 and Sector 2 once we got to the Cyclone S's. He was really doing a good job of balancing the car on the coefficient of friction, but Assetto Corsa manages the tires like an on and off switch. When you get into that on and off switch moment, sometimes that off switch stays off for a little too long and you could drift off wide onto the circuit. I know we have a ton of runoff here, but it wouldn't behoove his chances to make a mistake, really.
All that runoff, though, is all grass. It's natural in a true racer circuit, in my opinion. I am somebody that loves to see the gravel traps, loves the grass. The natural punishment for these drivers is, of course, you have a lot of circuits like Paul Ricard. They have a lot of runoff area. You can abuse track limits to your advantage sometimes. Whoa, Nelly, a tank slapper and a half for a mod. No, that was Joshua with an immediate return to the garage and trying to get himself on circuit. He will not be able to make it back round in time to set another lap, qualifying over for the number 18.
Oh man, truly gutting for Joshua, but he's nestled himself into the top 10 right now, and that's nothing to shake a stick at. He's doing pretty well for himself right now with a 202.4. Robert, my man, down into 20th position right now, finding a little bit of that runoff bumpier rather than flat as possible as he tries to rejoin the circuit. He was improving by nearly 3 seconds on that previous lap, but MX-5 is just not suiting his taste right now.
One of the problems with these cars that they have, so I mentioned earlier, they are very punchy out of the corners. You pretty much just point them in the right direction, hit the throttle, and you'll go. However, if you do experience a little bit of oversteer, a little bit of understeer in particular, as Sagar mentioned earlier, those tires can become on or off, and if they get to that point of becoming as cold as an iceberg, well, you're gonna slip right off. And if you try to save it, you try to overcorrect, all of a sudden you'll find a load of grip and your car will be facing the wrong way and more than likely in a barrier at about Mach 10. That's what we call a tank slapper, and we saw that earlier from a couple different drivers, and it seems like it might be the trend here tonight on Thunderhill.
Oh, and we'll definitely see a lot of tank slappers here. Not just because it's Thunderhill, because it's the nature of the beast of these MX-5 cars. Trying to balance, like I said, Andrew was doing on that limit of friction and just trying to slip and slide your way through. Look at the way he sends it going into the first corner. He's just balancing the car on that limit, and he keeps on doing it over and over again. He's very good at what he's doing, and I especially want to watch him coming through the S's right now, because this is where he really upsets the balance of the car and gets it nearly sideways. And you can see the rear end just stepping out from him right now as he gets back onto the throttle and really not even waiting for the car to settle down as he tiptoes it around one more time, getting onto the throttle, letting the car become discombobulated and bouncing over the crest of these corners here at Thunderhill Park. He's doing a great job, and he's still improving. This man is not a man. He is an absolute machine. Andrew has improved his first sector time by 2/10 already as he comes around turns 7, 8, and 9 now, and into the back stretch of this back. You'll see him again balance the car coming in towards turn 10 on the nose and then light up the rear end to get it pushed around and rotated with a little tap of the brakes over and over again. And here he is coming through that final chicane, that 11, 12, 13 complex, and then on to turns 14 and 15 next. Here he is coming through 11, 12, 13 now, and just undulating the car and abusing track limits as much as possible. He's still upsetting all the other drivers right now, improving by 0.2 of a second, and then down the long back straightaway before we get to the front straight, turns 14 and 15. This is where all the drivers cannot find the time, and that's exactly why Andrew just full send beans into the turns 14 and 15. You can see the car get absolutely sideways from that onboard shot. Absolutely phenomenal, and he's still going to find some lap time improvement. 20.333 was his lap time, and he finds 0.2 of an improvement, a 2-minute 0.1. Holy Toledo.
Nearly into the 59s, and one thing you'll notice there through the S's, just how flighty the car can be. Track limits here quite on the edge. There, Tim did find track limits, I'm pretty sure, no doubt. You can go quite far off the circuit there without being punished. Now, through these corners here as well, you see again just the flighty nature and the way that Andrew took that corner. He's approaching these corners slow in, fast out. That's what I was talking about with just getting onto the accelerator so early. These cars, they're point and shoot is like how I like to describe it. And Andrew, being a karting champion that he is, he knows how to entry these to maximize his exit, and he's showing that, compromising his lines through the first sector to gain crucial tenths on the exit of the S's. That is what a, as I mentioned, true champion looks like, and we'll see the lap times. Nearly 7/7 difference from Bradley. Daniel slots in second, Max down in third with Tim in fifth, Timothy in sixth, David down in seventh. Cosmo will be in eighth with Joshua alongside ninth, and Donovan rounding out your top 10.
Absolutely great driving from everybody out here tonight, doing a phenomenal job of keeping it calm, cool, and collected. A little bit of argy-bargy, elbows out racing was to be had during the qualifying stint, but it looks like all the drivers are faring very well tonight, and I cannot wait for the action to take place, and I don't have to wait much longer, Mike.
No, we do not. Andrew Janis on pole position, Bradley alongside 18 minutes on the clock as the Christmas tree gets ready to go alight here at Thunderhill. It's members night here at World of Racing, and we are about to go green. Andrew looking at a solid start there down to the first corner. He'll be able to cover the inside line. Behind that, a mad dash, might you say, for third. Daniel Bradley trying to settle it out right now. Looks like Max maybe found a little bit of ground as well as he's trying to eke his way on by. Timothy gains a position over Tim as well. Shakers up in the front, a bit of wide action for someone. That's going to be Timothy, struggling to keep the grip underneath those tires on this opening lap. Needs to keep it fully under control, and as we get into the S's here, Sauger, we see everyone, well, should be nip and tuck, but not the same can be said for Tim and Timothy. This is a battle of the ages.
Absolutely phenomenal start for all the drivers. Super clean, not to be expected from amateur race car drivers or amateur drivers of the sim racing nature, but these guys are putting on a masterclass of a show. Timothy about to give the bump and run to Tim out in front, and you can see a little bit of a tap there to give him the hurry up and go. And you've got Cosmo lurking in the wings behind, trying to find a way by, and he looks to the inside line. Will he get the move done and dusted? I believe he has got the move done and dusted. Cosmo through on Timothy. The only people that have inverted positions in the top 5 right now are Daniel and Max. Max gaining third position over Daniel right now, still side by side. This is Ahmad and Timothy. Timothy falling a little bit backwards right now. Ahmad going off and into the grass. Can he get rejoined by the cones? I don't think he did. And he is off into the nether realm and will find the slip and slide out there.
Joshua gains a position, so does Christian. Looks like we have some infighting in the front now with Daniel and Max. Max down to the inside. I think he is signed, sealed, and delivered that one, except the package, unfortunately, was at the next address. He has gone into the next postal code, and Daniel says, thank you very much. I'll take that right back from you. Now, though, Max committing to the outside this time. Is he going to switch it up? No, he's fully committed. With that, the momentum should be in his favor, but the inside line, that's where you want to be. But a big slip, clobbering of the curbs there for Daniel, and he's dropping down the order like a stone in the Marianas Trench. Absolutely gutting Daniel here with the weight of the world on his shoulders. He almost gets taken out by a spinner. That was Tim who found themselves the wrong way around.
And Tim not going the right way, pointed at the Thunderhill Raceway, but it looks like Christian is battling it out with Daniel now, able to get the move done. The number 7 is passed, but change for the lead. Bradley and Andrew. Andrew is tumbling down the order right now. What happened to Andrew? Is he's stopped on circuit, it looks like. Oh, he has found the runoff area, and he has tumbled way down the order into 3rd, 4th place now. And that's exactly what I was not hoping for, but expecting from a driver that was on the absolute limit of friction, was that eventually it would get the better of him, just like Marc Marquez finally finding an incident due to all of his risky behaviors and the way that he was riding that motorcycle. It was about time that luck caught up with him. Andrew, unfortunately, getting caught up in this, but he's going to make up positions very, very fast right now. Up the inside line, a little bit of argy-bargy with Cosmo right now, the number 55. They sent it up the inside like a post stamp, and now the driver is all nip and tuck, 3 by 3 right now. This is not in and out. This is World of Racing.
Andrew Janis, he's bottlenecked by 2 cars. With that, the thumb on the edge. Will he end up flying out? He does. He gains the 2 for 1 in the final corner complex. Back onto the loud pedal there, bumping and banging. Andrew, given the karting strategies, no doubt, squeezing him with every millimeter of circuit. The inside, though, committed for Timothy. Who is gonna give? Round the long way. This is gonna be Andrew plummeting. Wait, plummeting? What is going on with Andrew? We're looking at what is the timing charts I don't think are accurate. Still, the fighting continuing on. Christian, was there an off track? Is this because of an off track? What is happening?
Potentially because he did not complete a lap. He may have gone off track. Yeah, that's exactly what could potentially be happening with Assetto Corsa. As the drivers start crossing the line, you can see him tumble down the order. I think you're absolutely right, Mike Noss. That must be what's happening right now.
Well, that is not how anyone wanted this to end, unfortunately. Due to the Joker lap that Andrew Janis took in the previous, he has cut the circuit too much, and the in-game stewards have deemed that he has now not completed a proper lap. So Andrew Janis will be a lap down for the rest of this race. That is certainly not something I had on my bingo card, Sauger.
No, not at all, but I guess to be expected due to how much of the track he ended up cutting. I wouldn't have expected it myself, but you can see the cones on circuit, and you have to make it through the cones. And this isn't the cones of Dunshire from Parks and Rec, but this is the cone game of Assetto Corsa. And yes, it looks like that's the reason why he's tumbled down. Vicente battling it out with Daniel and Christopher now, trying to get the 2 for 1 special himself up the inside, but ends up running into Daniel. Yes, it is. Vicente makes his way through Christopher and Daniel, get themselves collected, the 72 and the 60 rejoining the track.
No love lost between those two. Well, okay, maybe a little bit. It definitely seemed like there will be some words exchanged when it's all said and done. Or, of course, you could exchange your words right now. That's the beauty of racing down at World of Racing, is you can see the person that you just took out right across the room from you. Allows for some interesting conversations come the pub later on in the evening, but that's what we're all here for. We're here for a good time. Various skill levels out on circuit. Sauger alluded to that earlier. We don't have necessarily necessarily all professional drivers. We have people just trying it out for the first time as well, and we'll give a little love to them here in a moment. I do want to keep a nice eye, though, on this battle for the bottom step of the podium, Cosmo and Timothy. Timothy here had a struggle at the start. He went backwards. However, he has managed to kick it into high gear since then and gain himself back into fifth in a battle right now with Cosmo, trying to see what he can settle out.
Absolutely gutting to see Timothy tumble down the order, but he's a place up already from where he started this race. Timothy, right?
Yes.
Yes, as the timing order just changed around on me, excuse me. But the most important thing is that Timothy is actually a little bit slower than the car in front lap after lap, and he's actually slower than the cars behind him, so he's going to get bottlenecked in a few laps or so. We have 10.5 minutes left of racing, so it'll be interesting to see where he ends up falling or how the cards end up playing out for Timothy right now.
It is, certainly. I just want to take a moment, though, to give a nice little showing of everybody here in the race, all the way down here to Andrew Janis in P, technically last, unfortunately. Brittany down in 22nd position. Robert in 21st. Mark rocking 20th with Vincent ahead. Paulina in 18th with a bit of a battle right now. Let's keep a swift eye with this. Kai looking like he's going to be dealing with more pressure than a submarine right now. Let's see if there's any cracks in this hull.
Absolutely. And also Paulina under threat from Vincent behind, the number 72, looking like he wants to get a piece of the action. And Vincent was down in 20th place off the breakaway, but now catching up to Paulina, trying to find better than 20th and even 19th. Battles ahead between a lot of the drivers, Joshua and Ahmad inverting positions. Joshua going a little slower than Ahmad there on that last lap, but 1/10 separating the two of them. They're going side by side according to the timing tower, and they are keep on inverting positions left, right, and center. There it is, Joshua and Ahmad inverting positions yet again, one more time, at the number 55 ahead of the number 23. But will the 23 get the move done around the outside? I don't think so. 55 holds on the racing line through the cyclone, and going into turn 6 and turn 7, they're still trying to go after it.
Ahmad finds the switch back. He'll take the outside line, though, for the rest of the S's, and that corner is going to fall away from him, but he's going to switch it back once more. Trying to sell the dummies, weaving around more than a knitting grandma is Ahmad with the slipstream, though, and the big help down the back stretch. He'll be looking to potentially send it into the final corner. Now, let's see. Why don't we go on board here with Ahmad and see what it's like. Driver's eye perspective, the blinding California sun in your eyes. Up the hill now, getting ready to crest back down the windy bits, but it's going to have to be an on-the-grass attempt there. Ahmad, a little too exuberant on the loud pedal, or maybe just, I guess, is that the Nordschleifer part of the circuit? Maybe just forgetting part of it, as the Nordschleifer often happens.
Yeah, maybe going off into the Thunderschleifer instead of the Nordschleifer. And look at the line that Ahmad's taking, straight lining basically turn 11, 12, and 13, gaining a little bit of speed and momentum on Joshua out in front, the number 55, but not doing enough to close down through the final corner. Super late on the brakes, trying to send it through the final corners. It looks like the number 55 holding on very well for dear life right now. Risa battling it out ahead. Is that Daniel? Yes, it is Risa, a member of the 2.4 hours of Daytona, back at the World of Racing, and now battling it out in an MX-5 car, completely different than what they were driving previously.
Yeah, no doubt, going from hypercar at Daytona to MX-5 at Thunderhill. I don't think anyone had that one planned, but that right there is one of the biggest and most beautiful aspects of World of Racing, in my opinion, and that's, of course, just due to the fact that none of the drivers know what they're signing up for when they sign up. No one knows what the next circuit even is. We may have hinted to it a little bit earlier, just gave a mention to the name. However, I don't think anyone would have picked that up. Of course, we keep everything tight-lipped and secret until all the drivers get there, and then they load up the racetrack, so everyone is on as even of a playing field as it can be.
Yeah, and that really is one of the highlights. You know, a lot of these weekly series, a lot of these endurance races, championship battles that you end up getting into, you know well in advance what racetrack, what car combo you're going to be driving, and you get time to practice. Some drivers will spend days and days or maybe hours, and maybe that'll be the only hobby that they invest their time into when it comes down to sim racing, is just that one car track combo. At World of Racing, you might not necessarily get that amount of track preparation and time to practice because everything is announced the day of. The most important thing is that you come in on an equal playing field, that everybody finds out right at the same time during the driver's briefing. Everybody finds out their track car combos with just 1 hour of practice left to go in the event. And then you head onto the track and you have to put your best foot forward no matter what that looks like. And I think that's why I'm so impressed. That's why I'm so impressed by the level of driving skill that these people have, is because they have such little preparation for the track car combos that they're faced with. And they come out and they perform at such a high level. I definitely could not perform at this high level. That's why I talk about you guys rather than doing it.
What the heck is happening to Brittany here? Brittany's lost a position to Andrew Janis. She's gone down a lap herself, maybe cutting the track limits. Everyone exploring the grass, trying to have a nice California picnic. I'm not sure this is the best time to do so. We're in the middle of a race here, but of course, there's a time and place for everything. That is a bit of a scrap here. I think it's a back marker getting in the way briefly between this battle of David and Max side by side now through the exit of the S's, and it's going to be advantage for Max, and he's going to not wait for any more opportunities. He grabs the position, but David right back to respond, takes the inside line himself, has the long left-hander. It's multiple corners, but it looks like one. This track, very simple on paper. However, these drivers are not driving on paper. This is the rough California tarmac, and they're meleeing it out right in front of us.
Doing a good job of getting that position secured. The number 23 of Max out in front right now, in front of David. And then Joshua, Ahmad, Cosmo, Timothy, Daniel, Vicente, and Christian. That'll be your top 10 right now. And the driver is pretty much settling in, or maybe not, as Cosmo finds track limits there and pushes a little bit too hard. And there's a driver who found track limits. That's the 55 of Joshua now, tumbling down the order substantially and trying to rejoin right where he found him, and hopefully not getting that same lap violation that some of the other drivers tonight have seen.
Not only do these drivers have to worry about battling each other on circuit and trying to gain those crucial tenths over their competitors, they're battling with themselves. This is a war of attrition in every single way possible right now, and you can see the circuit is getting to some of these drivers. It's the light little mistakes. You go slightly too quick into a corner. You go for the understeer tactic. I mentioned this in qualifying. Your car, you try to correct it, and all of a sudden it turns to violent oversteer. You snap into a barrier, and your race day is ruined. Thankfully, though, for Joshua, the barrier was nowhere to be found on that occasion. He just had a bit of grass to contend with, rejoin the circuit, and safely get back to racing. Nice little three-way scrap, though, developing here as Christian and Daniel potentially going to be holding each other up and allowing Vicente into the conversation, with Risa just out of touch as well.
That's good three-way scrap building up to become something. One thing I did want to point out is the 22nd place car. That must be Andrew, who's caught up to the rear end of Bradley out in P1. What a phenomenal driver he's been. Yes, Andrew has caught up to P1 again. Had he not gotten that track limits violation, he would be battling for the lead right now, Mike.
Yeah, unfortunate. And I mean, it's a learning mistake, or not learning mistake. It's one of the natures of a nice little send there from Cosmo. Hold that thought as we still continue on here. Ahmad and Cosmo side by side, trying to gain up towards David, who's about 5 seconds up the road. Right now, they're not too worried about him. They're worried about negotiating the same piece of real estate. And oh no, Max is a spinner on the side. Almost gets collected by the cannonball of Cosmo, but thankfully he goes sailing on by into the ocean.
Max started out this race in 4th place. Now in 5th place right now. Ahmad and Cosmo doing very well for their drives right now. Ahmad started this race down in 12th position and Cosmo in 8th. So both of them promoted very high up the order and collecting a good haul of points for this championship, that's for sure. on board right now with Ahmad, the racing number 23, as he chases down Cosmo. The lap time's not going his way. That previous one around, he's about 2.5 slower than Cosmo out in front, but momentum is what he's carrying with him right now as we get through the S's just in a few moments. Now looking at Bradley as he gets chased down by the 20th place car of Andrew behind, and Andrew keeps on sending it full send baseball through these S's and will not stop. He's still battling like the championship is on the line right now.
Let's just hope he doesn't drop it like Aaron Judge in the World Series does Andrew, because he's battling with the leader on a different lap. Now, Andrew is going to try to overtake for pride. I am well aware of this, and I am completely for it. You just got to do it cleanly. That's the most important aspect. Make your move and make it look good. Andrew, no, catches his tire on the grass, exclamation mark, curses. I have sent Andrew into the shadow realm. My apologies, Andrew Janis.
Exclamation point curse in the chat for every time that Mike Noss has cursed a race car driver on circuit. He has done a good job of doing that. Maybe not such a great job of talking smack about the drivers, but he does a good job of sending them in the shadow realm, that's for sure. There was a scrap right there for 2, 3, and 4 for just a second, and the timing tower just having a bit of a moment. But we're about to finish up this race. Bradley getting through the final corners right now. We'll take the checkered flag of this 18-minute inaugural race of the MX-5 Championship Night, 4 members night at World of Racing. And he is going to drink a whole boatload of champagne tonight. Bradley taking home P1. Cosmo taking home P2, just 17 and a half seconds. Hard-fought battle for him. Cosmo started off this race in 8th position, now taking P2. He's got to be pleased with himself. And David taking home P3 when he gets to the line. David, where did he start? Down in 7th place. The order has gotten shaken up more than a cosmopolitan. And now Ahmad in 4th place from 12th, and a 5th place, 6th place battle right now between Max and Timothy.
Drag
race.
Drag race there to the line is over there. Timothy just gained the advantage. Joshua behind. Daniel coming home in 8th. Christian taking home 9th with Vicente and Tommy pretty much line and stern. No, that's actually a back marker, I'm pretty sure. Tommy a little bit further behind. Battle still underway, though, between Lee and Kai. All the way down to the wire here. Kai has been doing a great job just plucking away, but Lee has managed to come out of the doldrums into the mix now. He's shaken, but is he stirred? Oh yes, he is. Lee overcooks it on the final corner. Kai takes 15th.
Amazing battle getting to the line. A few of them for sure. And this has been an amazing race one right now. But Bradley, Cosmo, David taking home the top 3 spots right now, doing an amazing job of driving this one home. Brittany, Andrew, and then my boy Robert down in 23rd position, and he's going to bring this one home. And the real prize here is getting to the checkered flag, folks.
It really is. That's the whole goal here at World of Racing, is just having a bit of fun, having a good time, and sharing it with your friends, your family, and just the passion and love that you have for sim racing. A lot of us do, of course. Some of us just finding that passion and love. Of course, going to World of Racing for the first time is quite an experience. If you've never driven on a motion simulator, of course, especially, I should say, one by Sigma Interglades. As we cut here back to the host cams, welcome back, everybody. Race 1 is done for tonight, and we're going to be getting ready here to shortly move on. But let's talk a little bit of track briefly, as of course we had what a very amazing race. MX-5s, I mentioned it at the top of the broadcast, they never fail to deliver, do they, Sagar?
No, they really don't fail to amuse us. And if you're not an MX-5 fan, you're probably not a race car fan in general, because of the nature of the hard-fought racing that you get to have with those MX-5s. They're willing to take a beating and a punching, but most importantly, they are very durable at what they do. They're allowed to take those beatings and punches without getting sent into the shadow realm. We saw a lot of great side-by-side door banging and touching that nobody really got too hurt by. All the self-inflicted damage was just that, self-inflicted damage. not much more else to be said about that. The drivers performing very well tonight and just getting settled into these MX-5s. They're only going to get better week after week, Mike.
Absolutely. And of course, these, you mentioned as well with the Daytona race being just a couple days ago, these cars are a bit more tame. They're a bit more controllable. You don't have as much speed going into a corner. And so for the newer drivers, I'm sure that these are much, much more welcome, a very beginner friendly car. And we've seen that just great racing throughout the entirety of the pack here tonight, and more to come as well. But in the meantime, folks, we're going to be taking a brief intermission here at World of Racing, and we'll be back very shortly. And welcome back once again, folks, as we get ready to transition on to the next session. And it's another circuit that you probably have not heard of, Oran Park. Sagar, why don't you tell us a little bit more about it?
We're headed down under, mate, to the heart of Sydney, well, to the outskirts of Sydney, and its inception in 1962 through its closure in 2010, unfortunately. And it is a 1.628 mile or 2.620 kilometer, as we use down under, circuit. And we've got amazing corners here, such as Foster Zip, the Yokohama Bridge, Coca-Cola Corner, and the Big Sweeper, of course. And it is going to be a humdinger of a time. We might see some cars take flight, Mike.
I think we're going to be seeing some cars take flight. We were just taking a look at the qualifying session. We'll be taking a look very shortly ourselves down into it. There's some curbs on this circuit, and they're not like little tiny rolling little curbs that are going to make your car bounce just a bit. No, these are full-on speed bumps on a runway that are going to send you to a premature death if you're not too careful. But I think that's enough talking in the booth. Why don't we go down to the circuit, Sagar, and see exactly what we're talking about?
Absolutely. You can see the height of those curbs now. The big red and yellow stripes mounting them is going to be an awful pain for the drivers as they get through them, and not only a pain for their vehicles, but a pain through their motion sims. I can only imagine, and there's a few drivers in that orange car finding the edge of the track, going curb to curb, and there goes David going edge to edge of the track and collecting, or being collected by, the number 36 as well.
Oil down on circuit, folks, there briefly, is everybody having a spill through the middle sector, and Christian joining that party. But look at the lap time, Sauger. We have 3 drivers within the 1:19.6s. 1:19.1 though. Current pole position set by Max. Let's see, is he going to find any improvement on his lap? He's got a car behind he's given a nice little helping hand to. 19.1, the time to beat. He will try once more, but there is the man, wow, the myth, the legend, the 8th wonder of the world, the Great Wall of Andrew.
That is absolutely amazing. 2 seconds off the good is Max right now from Andrew, and immediately warping to the pits, getting a set of new tires and another splash of fuel, because he's got 9 minutes remaining around a 117 track. That'll give him at least 5 more tries at it for sure, if not 6, maybe even 7, depending on when he crosses the line. But we're seeing a lot of those 119 start to trickle in. It's 119 City from Max all the way down to Timothy in P8, and then 120s and 121 pluses tumbling in. My boy Robert getting into 12th place with a 124.025 in 12th place, and he's already getting racy with some drivers out on circuit.
This is definitely something I would like to see worked on from the drivers in the future, is you see that giant gap of clean air where there is not a single car on circuit. I would recommend trying to find yourself in that. Now, of course, there are quite a few drivers, 24 trying to share the same tarmac, and Sauger mentioned there isn't much of it to be had here. We do have that figure 8 loop as well, something that you rarely see on any circuit these days. Suzuka pretty much being the only circuit that I can think of that has a figure 8. Of course, old Monza, there we go, going over the bridge right now through the Yokohama Bridge. And of course, Monza used to have that, where the old banking crossed over the actual circuit before Ascari, but that was long, long in the past.
Absolutely, you're right, Mike Noss. I think Suzuka is the only track to this date that has its overcrossing or figure 8 type pattern. Oran Park obviously closed in 2010, so no longer one of the active circuits, turned into a housing complex, and a beautiful housing complex this must be around the Orange circuit. And I'm sure that the track roots still lay its ground in that housing complex. And Lee getting racy with Robert, it looks like right now. And there goes Timothy off, and Timothy finished the race pretty well off, started the race in 6th place, and 6th place is where he might start this one.
Yeah, let's see how he can thwart the rest of qualifying. 7 minutes to go. Now, you mentioned the fact this got overtaken by a housing development. That's always a shame. Here in America, we find that the reality of a lot of older racetracks, like even newer racetracks that were built, people just don't have that love for cars in certain spots, and of course even certain British circuits having noise regulations on circuits in the area. Don't build near a racetrack if you don't want to hear noise. That's my best advice, or don't move into one near it. But it's always sad to see when racetracks go, and sure, of course you need to find space for the land, but look at all the land around it. Why you gotta get rid of this racetrack? Just let cars drive in glorified circles in peace.
With Laguna Seca being my home circuit, don't even talk to me about noise violations of such. We've had a bout of noise violation complaints over the past decade or so, and threats to even close down the circuit, unfortunately, as there's a streamer hanging from Badley's car. It looked like there was a streamer hanging from his car for just a second, but nope, just a little bit of a Assetto Corsa being a Assetto Corsa there, and you can see that streamer just dangling off, don't you, Mike?
On every car, they do have a little streamer on them. We'll call those, what do they call those? Ventruli, kind of like the air that comes off the back of a wing. Now, of course, these MX-5s don't necessarily produce any downforce minus the 2,000 pounds that they weigh. That's, it's going to be about where it maxes out at. They're pretty much fully mechanically inclined and all about that raw grip on circuit. Not worrying about any invisible mumbo jumbo or any fancy sticky outy bits to try to keep you on the track. It's all about your right foot and your right and left hands.
Absolutely true. It is about the mechanical grip in these MX-5 cars, and getting the mechanical grip just right will be the key to success here. And there's not too much you can actually tune on these vehicles, so the drivers are pretty much equally matched. Of course, sharing setups between drivers is not frowned upon. It's probably encouraged at World of Racing to give each other a helping hand, but what one driver suits their needs, or what one setup suits their needs for one driver, may not suit everybody's cup of tea, especially getting through some of the tighter corners. Some drivers like to turn the wheel more than others, and other drivers like myself, I just like to steer with my left and right foot.
Yeah, and with that, I would imagine, now don't quote me on this, is actually a great question to ask everyone down at World of Racing, is are we using fixed setups? Because I guess AC probably doesn't have fixed setups. Now that I think about it, does it? It's a little pre its time, huh?
I think you can set it in the server configurations to have fixed setups, to have them locked from default, as Tim gets pretty racy with Christopher, it looks like, and side-by-side argy-bargy action. But now getting to the start-finish straightaway, where will Tim find his time? A 118.2 will be all he had in the bag previous lap around.
Look at these 18s, 18-2, 18-2, 18-0, 4, 5, 9, all the way down to Cosmo in 9th position. Daniel there with an 18-0 in the doldrums of qualifying. 17-9 quickest lap. Max, though, getting all sorts of chopped up on the qualifying lap with another back marker. I'm not sure who that was. Let's take a look a bit further back. Actually, it might have been, that was Mark, actually, that got caught up with that, unfortunately. Brittany, though, down in 22nd with a 127.8. A couple tenths there to be found, with Polina ahead in 21st. Robert, 20th position with Vincent, or with Vincent in P19. It's Vincent, yes. Tommy in 18th, and then Vincente in 17th. That's the name that I was trying to think of. Down in 17th position with Kai ahead at a 121.6. Tight bottom pack as well.
It's tight at the front, it's tight at the mid, it's tight at the rear. Man, these drivers are sure finding their packs to race with, and that's what MX-5s are all about. It's about the pack racing that you're going to end up finding. Maybe you're not necessarily fast enough to be at the front. Not everybody can win a race, but everybody can find someone fun to race against in these cars, because they're so much fun, because they're so equalizers. Such equalizers to where it's just a balance of performance at the best possible thing. Ahmad throwing down an 18.236, finding himself in 5th place. Phenomenal drive out of Ahmad right now with 2 laps to go.
This qualifying is hotter than a firecracker. Daniel, what can he find? The pit lane, apparently. Suddenly, I'm not sure what that was about. Whoa, cars flying off circuit with enough mid-air time to be served wine and cheese on their flight. Expect that to become the reality of the night. Once we get into the race session, drivers will be side by side trying to go for those moves. And with that, of course, means that the track will narrow and those sausage gerbs will send you into the stratosphere, as we just saw Bradley's character go into outer space as well.
Absolutely true. We're going to see some drive. Look at all the 18s and the 17s trickling in. Andrew, Bradley, Max, 17s. It's basically 1 second separating Andrew all the way down to David in 9th place right now. And then the 19s start trickling in. 19.3 for Cosmo, 19.4 for Risa. Joshua now into a 19.1, finding himself into the top 10. And that is an amazing lap time for all these drivers to be able to perform at such a level on a track they've never even seen before, most likely.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. It's just down to how quickly these drivers can master these corners. And Andrew, the quickest to the bat so far, but Bradley not far behind Max as well. With that, we have some chatters as well. Welcome to Mar Spark for the follow. Thank you very much. Welcome to the team. Thank you as well to Will Slong joining us. We also have a follow from Stus Gaming on Twitch. Thank you so much for joining us. And Chicaneep, I think. I'm not sure. I hope that's correct. Hope the commentary team is doing great. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for joining us on the Twitch side of things. Hopefully you are down at World of Racing yourself and joining this action. Thank you all so much for being here. Hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. It's Mike Noss and Sagar Bakshi on the comms here tonight, and World of Racing is the subject. If you are looking to get yourself down there, if you are in the Tustin or Pasadena or Kansas City areas, you can find yourself going down to World of Racing to test out some top-of-the-line equipment, including, of course, as I mentioned, the simulators being the Hussenfeld pedals, the full motion sim, the Cubic V20s with a Simicube 2 Pro wheel, and all of the fancy schmancy LED screens and the full simulation down to it, and of course full motion rigs as well. All the way around, it is an experience, and of course Sigma Interglade providing those motion simulators as well.
Top of the line equipment for top of the line people here at World of Racing. Nothing but the best for all the drivers, and like I keep threatening these World of Racing staff members, they're going to see me and my service dog show up one of these days for an event, and we're going to have a humdinger of a time, and Mike Noss, you're going to have to do some solo commentary by yourself.
Well, of course, hopefully we'll have DJ Clark back in the wings for that one. That would be an absolute treat to see you out there. And then Lexus also may be out on track. Okay, that might be a bit exuberant. Of course, for anyone curious, his service dog's name is Lexus, and she is awesome.
Thank you very much. I make sure I pass along the message that Mike Noss is a Lexus fan. And Lexus fans not to be found today because we're racing Mazda MX-5 Cup cars around Oran Park, down under and near Sydney, Australia. Robert struggling just a little bit to get through the final corner, but will he improve his lap time? It looks like the answer was no.
And that is qualifying done and dusted for the night. Now we get to move on to the meat and potatoes, the race session ahead. And we have a similar pole sitter that we had in the previous race. However, of course, we saw how that ended. A cut of the circuit, basically shortening the track by about half, did Andrew Yanis attempt to do, and the simulator was not too thrilled with that decision. Ended up putting him a lap down from the rest of the pack, and he finished pretty much smack dab in the back. This time, though, he's going to be back for blood and back for vengeance, being 7/10 quicker than anybody else.
And hopefully he can keep it on the black tarmac this time around. Of course, we have the Yokohama Bridge to contend with to keep everybody calm, cool, and collected. Pretty narrow going through there, but hopefully we won't see anybody drifting off the circuit and cutting a lap.
Here we get ready to get into the action. We're going to have 15 minutes on the clock for race 2. 6 lights going to be coming on. Andrew on pole position, Max alongside. Can Janice take the gold? Let's find out. 6 lights are on as we get ready to go green at World of Racing, and Andrew Janis slow off the gate. Max getting a commanding start. Bradley as well, shot out of the start like a cannon on the run down to the first corner. Andrew getting swamped. Ahmad behind, trying to look for the outside. He's defending himself right now from Tim in the background. Now, though, side by side from Bradley and Daniel as they try to squabble it through on their same piece of tarmac. 3 wide, Bradley, Ahmad, and Christian. Ahmad making moves early. Can he find second position? No. It's going to be enough for third unless we switch it back once more. Now, getting ready to go under the bridge for the first time, Ahmad settles into the bottom step of the podium, gaining 2 positions. With that, though, Sagar, Andrew dives himself into the mix and takes the bottom step back.
Wow, really great driving, but terrible start for Andrew, but amazing recovery drive. And I love how he was able to keep his cool off that start. Didn't get into any kerfunkles, didn't get into any flamboyant types of moves or shaking and baking with other drivers. Just kept his cool and knew that the track was going to come to him eventually. And he's found himself in 3rd place. Not a last to first challenge, but he is working his way through a pack of bumblebees, the MX-5 Cup cars tonight.
Bradley also, similar story could be said there. He started in third, now he's down into fifth. Can he get the move though down the long start-finish straight into the first corner? It'll have to be a dive bomb. He thinks about it. It's a high-speed, high-commitment corner. Andrew Janis commits it. Ahmad into the kitty litter and gutting devastation. Daniel also getting involved there, putting himself in the center of the track. It's a massive kerfuffle as cars spin round to the side, and everyone settles in the mid-pack right now, but chaos, carnage, and calamity on lap 2.
And the drivers keep on continuing to battle it out. There is a nice three-way battle or four-way battle going on right behind this. It looks like that'll be Vicente, Kai, and Tim and Robert battling it out. And they're doing a great job of keeping this one as clean as they humanly possibly can. But it looks like Vicente's car has seen some damage. And no, the number 72 tumbles down the order. And with just a bit of a banana peel found out on circuit. This isn't Mario Kart. This is a Assetto Corsa. But it looked like the car just got so unsettled coming down the crest of the Yokohama Bridge. And Foster's dip, excuse me. I was thinking of Foster's Freeze for some reason.
With that, of course, here we see our one of the drivers that started in the top 5, Ahmad, in the 72, and he currently has found himself ahead of Brittany, who has made their way through the field, carving through it like a Christmas ham. From, I think, 22nd position up into 18th. Also, Polina started in 20th, finds herself up into 16th. Risa, oh, no, be careful there, rejoining the circuit. Great heads-up decision not to reverse back into the middle of the track. Vincente also round, as it seems like this is a game of mistakes here. Very similar to Thunderhill, but we're seeing much more here early on.
Yeah, a lot of action still continuing on, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. The driver is going oh my goodness. And we're going to move swiftly on from that calamity and move on to something better. Here's Christian battling it out with Max out in front. They're coming through O'Brien aluminum dogleg, or should I say the aluminium dogleg, and on our way through Recaro corner. Recaro, unfortunately, not having anything to do with this championship, but we do have to throw out the name of the seat company, and it looks like the drivers are all nose to tail. And who is that? David, actually, with a 117.8, about a second faster than the drivers out in front right now. Oh, there goes a big send up the inside at turn 1. Holy Toledo, that was good heads up driving, but may have overcooked himself, and both drivers overcooking themselves, and David finds himself on the third step of the podium tonight, the number 72.
This is how you learn, folks. Whoa, as Max cuts the inside line. They're a late defense, but fair play. Christian not going to be too thrilled as he almost had his nose taken off on the previous lap. Donovan, oh no, plummeting down the order as well. That's going to allow Ahmad and Lee to scrap it on out. Lee looking for moves as well. Robert in the background, the fan favorite. Oh, be careful as I say that. Robert having a bit of an issue. Pay no mind to the man behind the curtain. But look at this, Sauger. Everywhere you look, we have, as you mentioned earlier, that pack racing. This is what racing is about.
110%. And don't you ever mention Robert's name again. God forbid he gets the commentator's curse. And around the outside goes Ahmad. It almost dipped the wheel into the grass. He did dip one wheel or two into the grass, able to make that overtake in the number 72 over Risa. And he's lapping pretty quickly, and now the next person up the road is Vincent. Will he be able to get the move done around the outside coming into Recaro corner? A long way to look and feel like he's going to hold onto the traction. Does he clatter the wall? No. And he gets one more position done, 2 in 1 lap. Hats off to Ahmad.
That car is looking as loyal as a Labrador. Now, he started in 5th position. He's looking to gain that back. It's been a recovery drive thus far, and the trend will continue, but that's Kai almost becoming a torpedo towards Timothy. But regardless, gives not 1, 2, but 5. Make that a 6th position away for free. Kai plummets the order. Again, that pack racing, almost reminiscent of the F1 esports races that we saw earlier from the date of this this recording. If you are watching in the future, that's probably not the most relevant. Either way, Lee still on the charge towards Vincent. Ahmad in 9th now, gaining that position for free. Timothy is next victim, about 2.5 seconds up the road. Let's take a look, though. Battle for the lead ensuing. Bradley and Andrew ready to chop it up.
Ahmad did start in 5th place, so we know he has the pace to make up positions. He's wrestled down into 9th right now after an early mistake, and now he's climbing his way up the order. But more importantly, Bradley chasing down Andrew right now. Andrew kind of riding within that 1/10 of his limit. I think he learned his lesson at Thunderhill, and now he is battling it out with one of the best. Bradley chasing down with 3/10 of a gap, but it looks like it's so much closer than that as we ride on board with Bradley, and we're coming through the Champions Curve right now and on our way to the overpass of the Yokohama Bridge. It looks like Andrew has got the best of him right now.
Now, Andrew Janis has led races in the past. Let's keep this in mind, not just in sim, but in real life. He's led in karting, and these cars very reminiscent to a kart, as I mentioned earlier. And with that, of course, as someone here myself, that I love a little bit of karting. I used to teach a racing school for 8 to 16-year-olds, so seeing Andrew Janis out there is awesome to me. But with that, of course, karting drivers, in case you've never had the pleasure, if you want to call it that, of racing against a karting driver, going for an overtake can be a bit risky at the best of times. They tend to be very aggressive. That's as in karting. Karting, it's difficult to make moves, so when you have to make a move, you gotta typically make maybe a little bit of contact. And so far now, Andrew hasn't had to make any overtakes just yet, but with defense, it's a similar story. You're able to run your opponents out wide and not really give them an inch, nevertheless, the miles that we have here on this track.
Yet you forget already that Andrew had that terrible start at the beginning of the race. He tumbled down into nearly 7th place off the start away, and then now he's clawed his way back into P1 already. Again, not a last to first challenge, but he did throw himself off the wrong foot at the beginning of this race, and now has to work his way forward. Timothy battling with Ahmad, chasing him down right now, and it looks like they're all chasing Joshua out in front, and here goes Ahmad trying to find a way past, looks to the left, can't find a way by there, looking to the right now, and he can't find a way by there at the Yokohama Bridge. He's looking to the right now, up the inside line, can't find a way past yet again. He's gonna have to bide his time now.
This is a bit of a waiting game right now if you are a mod. Really no dice to be found. It's a matter of when do you roll them? When do you put it all on black? As of course you're betting against the man on red, Timothy. Let's see, he also has the car in front, Joshua. That'll give him a massive helping hand through this final corner, on the exit, I should say, of the final corner, down the start-finish straight. He's gonna get that crucial slipstream, which these cars absolutely love. And look at that, gaining massive amount of tenths, pretty much leaving Ahmad in the dust. The momentum firmly in Timothy's favor. I'd be pretty hard-pressed to believe if Joshua could defend this. Whoa, he's gonna try. Late on the brakes, Joshua commits the outside line, but a torpedo of Ahmad, and Joshua sent under. Oh no, Ahmad forgot what the middle pedal was briefly, and tears as a result. Oh no!
Absolutely.
What's happened to David? And now Bradley caught up in the mix. Oh, and everything is falling apart with 4 minutes left, Sauger.
Oh man, 4 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock, folks. And it looks like something has happened to Bradley. He was wrestled into P2 just a couple of seconds behind Andrew as they approach lap traffic, but now he's down into 5th place, and the gap has opened up to 8.1 to Max behind. Max did start in 2nd place of this race and is now back into 2nd place. Daniel in 3rd, Christian in 4th, Bradley in 5th, David, Timothy, Ahmad, Joshua, Vincent. That'll be your top 10 right now.
And the Timothy in a mod battle is not done. However, it is in a slightly different order than when we last checked it. It's for a different position. They were battling for 5th. Now it's a battle for 6th. Currently, David is David is ahead, Timothy, in the wing mirrors now, and we saw that send. My goodness, this time around. A little more discretion from David on the brakes, and he does make the apex. However, Bradley is not Bradley. That was somebody else. That was Christopher, I think, or Vincent. Someone went off circuit there. Who?
It could have been Robert, the purple MX-5 that we saw off in the background. Unfortunate for Robert finding track limits there, but more importantly, we're seeing battles still wrestle themselves forward. Vincent now chasing in 11th place as he just got past Donovan, it looked like, and Donovan finding the extra track limits there. But Vincent in 11th place chasing down Kai in 10th place, and they're doing a great job of driving this one forward.
So far, so good. Vincent and Kai trying to bout each other out right now. Kai started down in 15th position. Oh, goodness, I think that's Brittany. Brittany being a very generous back marker there and allowing the cars by in a slightly dicey situation. Still 19th position for Brittany. Oh, goodness. A little tip here for any blue flags that are getting waved. Of course, if you are a blue flag driver, just stick to the racing line. Make the faster car do the work. You don't need to move out of the way. You don't need to compromise your own race to allow the faster car by. It's their job to make the overtake. So if you are one of the blue flag drivers out there and you're finding yourself out on track and, like I say, getting passed by a faster car, just hold your line, be predictable. That is the most important thing. You can be offline, you can be online, but whatever you do, stick to it and do not change it, because unpredictability is the killer.
Absolutely true. Unpredictability is the absolute killer and is what will cause calamity, confusion, and chaos for all the drivers just acting like you don't know what's going on or trying to dip and dive out of the way. Let's take a look at Bradley in 5th place right now. He's got a 3/10 gap that's closing to Christian out in front right now. As we approach the final corner, Bradley looks to the inside line and Christian drifts out just a little bit. And it's going to be side by side coming down the front straightaway right now. And like you said, those karting opportunities and those passes, they're going to keep on tour banging each other as they come through towards turn 1 right now. The lap time's going Bradley's way right now as we get into turn 1, and that move cannot be defended, it looks like, as we conclude turn 2. But there's a dive up the inside line, and that is a huge defense by Christian as we come under the Yokohama Bridge, and they're going to continue their side-by-side bout like Frazier and Tyson in the 90s. That's for sure, Mike Noss. I stole that one straight off of your repertoire.
Mine's Tyson and Fury. You can have that one, actually. Either way, Bradley doing a great job holding on. But again, what is he holding on to is what I'm asking myself. Is it a rope? Is it a full-on OSHA safety harness? Or is he hanging on by a fishing line right now? Whichever it is, we'll find out very shortly, as we are going to be encroaching that last lap. Andrew Janis, the white flag being waved in an 11-second gap. Not only has he come back to win this race, he has come back to smash the doors open and, well, check out into the next week as well.
Yeah, Andrew's done a really great job to collect himself, get back onto the racing pace, and then just drive this one forward. I think he definitely is finding the limit with these MX-5 cars and is staying within those bounds, knowing that he can still walk away with a win as long as he keeps it clean on track. And he's being especially careful around lap traffic too, we're finding. And there goes a big look from Christian up the inside line as Bradley cooked it a little too heavily coming into Coca-Cola corner. And then now the positions get inverted. Bradley is into 5th place. Like you said, he may have been on the absolute limit of what he is capable of doing and just overcooked himself by just the slightest there. Didn't violate track limits, but he just narrowly avoided disaster.
Caught looking in the rear view mirror, unfortunately, and you can't drive looking backwards. You can only drive looking forwards. You go deep, and these cars are slower than Fred Flintstone and could lose to him in a drag race. But Andrew Janis, heading across the final corner now, takes the checkered flag for race 2 of the Wednesday Members Night at World of Racing. Redemption is back. Max takes home second because Daniel seems to have dropped the position in the last corner. Some error or something happened there, but Max takes home second, Daniel third, Christian looking at a fourth place finish ahead of Bradley after the last lap. Bradley led into the start of this one, but as they cross the line, the number 57 of Christian takes home fourth. David sixth, Timothy in seventh, Ahmad in 8th, Joshua 9th, and Kai will be rounding out your top 10.
And then Lee in 11th, Tim in 12th place, Vincent bringing home 13th place, or will he bring home 13th place? And then Tommy, inverted positions now. Tommy in 13th, Vincent tumbles down the order, gets passed by a few cars. Donovan in 14th, Robert in 16th, Risa in 17th, Brittany in 18th, Christopher in 19th, and Paulina in 20th position, bringing this one home. And the checkered flag is the real prize everybody was looking for tonight.
Indeed, a couple drivers behind that. Paulina, Mark, and then Brittany as well. Name not quite on the board, but that was an electric race. My goodness. What a circuit. Now, I think this goes without being, or this goes for both of us, Sauger, and the fact that I don't think either of us have had the pleasure of commentating on Oran Park before. As of course, this isn't a track in real life anymore, but this is quite the circuit. What were they doing getting rid of this thing?
I have no idea. Turning it into a housing complex might have been the worst decision Oran Park's ever made, but I'm sure the investors were happy about that. But man, this was an electric event. It was super fast paced. It was great for these MX-5 cars, and it was great entertainment for everybody. I had a great time watching these. It's the best job I ever had, Mike Noss.
Absolutely. And with that, we're going to be finding out here briefly if there is one more race tonight. I think it's 3 races on Members Night, if I'm not mistaken. But we, of course, are going to find that out here very, very shortly. Correct, Soccer?
I believe so. And I believe there's only 2 races for Members Night. I could be wrong. But anyways, Andrew taking charge of this one and putting on a heck of a show for us, Max and Bradley as well. And the competition was absolutely fierce out there tonight. The level of camaraderie was through the roof, and you could see the drivers kind of pushing each other along and being apologetic when they did make some slight mistake. That was very, very nice to see the drivers be so polite and so courteous with the way that they were handling things.
Yeah, it really is. Of course, we're all here again, as we've said it, we're going to say this 1,000 times, but we're here for a good time. We're not here for the cutthroat, competitive, money-grabbing, sort of style where there's nothing on the line here but a bunch of pride at the end of the day. The drivers are just trying to learn. They're trying to have a bit of fun, experience, and go out there and have something to talk about with each other afterwards, because, of course, everyone is in real-life racing. This is a social gathering, something that I think is lost on a lot of people. As of course I used to play Magic the Gathering, that switched over to pretty much online completely, and I miss the actual real life gatherings that you get to go to. And of course with sim racing being mostly online, this just adds a very unique perspective to a very interesting, I was going to say market, I guess it is, but it's just a very amazing platform. If you are again in the areas of either Tustin, Pasadena, or California, or Kansas City, do head on down to World of Racing, because what a time you can have. From anywhere from hot laps to members night to race nights to coaching, they have it all.
Absolutely. And the one thing you're absolutely right about, Mike Noss, is bringing the simulator world to an in-person event, and that's what World of Racing has done. And it's like going down to a karting event at your local track, basically, but being able to race at any track across the world at any given time that you're of your choosing. And that's so phenomenal, and that's such an amazing experience, and that's what makes me want to go down to World of Racing headquarters to give it a try myself, is to get it mixed up with the action, to meet the people that actually get to talk about it every single week, and be fortunate enough to shake their hands and give a big pour of champagne on top of Andrew's head when he takes home P1 again.
Grape juice.
Grape juice, that's right.
Not quite. He's got a couple more years before he can get the champagne spraying, but or the milk, of course, from various other racing traditions. Heck, let's get some milk and pour it on Andrew Janis. Why the heck not? That sounds weird. Let's not do that. I don't want milk poured on me. I don't wish anyone to get milk poured on them unless, look, if I won the Indy 500, maybe.
Mike, what if you won? Never mind. I was going to.
Well, now I'm curious.
Nope. We'll review off
Moving swiftly on from that one. Okay, understood. I'm still just waiting for final confirmation, as the Discord message I received was a little elusive, and just trying to have final confirmation. I think we are, though, done for the night. Sagar, is that how you understand that?
Yes, that is how I understand that as well, Mike Noss.
Lovely. With that being said, then, folks, I hope everyone has enjoyed tonight, because I certainly have. Sagar, closing this one down, of course, always a pleasure to be alongside you in the booth. I've been Mike Noss. I hope everybody has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.